welcome to the Full Octane Garage. Today we got a little bit of a project on our 1950 Chevrolet. We put a 5.3 liter Vortec V8 in this truck, and the only thing that's missing that the factory accessories would not accommodate is the air conditioning bracket. So we found a bracket from ICT Billet that is basically a billet bracket. $99. This is a complete setup to mount your Satan air compressor or air conditioning compressor to go with the rest of the vehicle. So it's going to actually be a high mount, so it should be mounting up in this section, and it'll accommodate plenty of room for the fenders to go on. So I guess now what we'll do is we'll start cutting this stuff open. As typical, we normally hate instructions, but this one looks a little complicated, so I think we're going to follow the instructions on this one today. The billet looks really nice. I think it's going to fit the truck perfectly. With all these parts, it looks like I'm probably going to need like 4 hands to put it together. Unfortunately today I only have 2 hands. It comes with a whole lot of nice new parts, so we're going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to read the instructions, and then we'll come back and hopefully show you how to put this thing on the truck. And we're back now that we're a little bit more organized. We've got the directions, we've laid all the parts out, we've laid the bolts out by length. All of the spacers are set by length. Though the instructions don't say anything about it, the first thing we're going to have to do is remove this factory belt tensioner. And I'm going to go ahead and, I believe we're getting a replacement for this, so I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Okay, we've got these parts off. Now we're going to see what the next steps are. We'll be right back. Okay, after a little bit more review, we're back, and not terribly happy with the results that we found. We had removed the tensioner off of the Chevrolet pickup truck, the 5.3 motor, and this actually says that this is a kit for a truck Satan mounted compressor. As we get to step 2, step 1 was no problem. We got the first plate on, it's in there, not a problem. We were getting ready to put the second plate together, which requires mounting the belt tensioner. And what we found is that it says in the smaller print here, OEM Camaro tensioner. We have an OEM truck tensioner, and guess what? It does not fit. So that was not very clear in the information when we purchased the kit. Now fortunately, I've recently acquired a 5.7 Camaro motor which had the whole front runner assembly, and I took the one off of that car and cleaned it up, and I'll use it in this application. Since we are going to have new pulleys and everything, the tensioner should be fine. So we're going to follow the instructions to go ahead and mount the tensioner before we mount the plate on the car. Looks like it's just a bolt and a nut. Now the other thing is it came with a lot of the bolts, but it did not come with the bolt for the tensioner, so you have to reuse the tensioner bolt from your old assembly. I took the one off the truck because it looked like it was in a little bit better shape. The instructions call for the flat pulley to go on the tensioner, where when we removed the grooved pulley off of the tensioner before, so now we're going back with a flat pulley on the tensioner. Now, what this calls for is one of the longer bolts and one of the shorter bolts, and then you need a spacer to go in the top. So it'll be pretty clear in the instructions on this. The smaller spacer goes between the head and the back bracket, so don't forget that one because you'll definitely need it. So we'll go ahead and snug these up. We're going to have one more spacer mounting device. Oops, hold on, that one goes, getting ahead of myself. Nope, I'm good because the pulley mounts up here. So that'll go in there. Then we have to deal with this pulley. This pulley calls for this and this. And it would appear that I have one bolt that is the incorrect size. Ah, I see what's going on here. That one actually gets a different bolt. So we now have the proper sized bolt with a thick washer. And another nut. Alright, now that's all mounted nice and solid. Tighten that one up. And it appears we have two small spacers that are going to go on the front side of the compressor. And when you mount the compressor, these are typically pre-oiled, but you want to make sure that the plug and these plugs are not facing downward. They can face sideways or slightly upward, and that's the preferred method for these for lubrication. Now we see why we have the spacers. Spacers go on the two front bolts, upper and lower. You know, I think that they need to use these two washers also. Thick washer on the back. I missed out on the thick washer on the back. So the thick washer goes between the compressor and the bracket. And it looks like that. Makes it line up perfectly. That's what I get for only partially reading the instructions. Of course, that's a little bit more advanced than I typically do. I usually don't read the instructions at all. So this is finally been a little helpful. Well, that concludes the installation of the compressor setup. These particular directions don't say it, but on their site they actually tell you what kind of belt. It's a Gates part number, don't have it off the top of my head, but we'll go by the belt. I still have to mount the power steering pulley, press it on, and then we can get the belt set up on, and then we'll be back in business. So overall the kit was not terribly hard to put on. I would say that of the kits that I have put on, it is disappointing that I had to go and get another belt tensioner and it wasn't built. I mean, how hard would it have been to do the molding of the aluminum to accommodate the existing truck belt tensioner and not cause the pain of actually, if I had to go buy that part, the parts store charges $65 for it. Have to go get it out of stock, and just makes it a little bit of a nuisance doing a kit like this. So we're glad you joined us. If you have any questions, leave some comments, leave some notes in below, and we're happy to respond and answer to them. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for joining us today at the Full Octane Garage. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you liked what you saw, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up. Also subscribe to our channel and like us on Facebook. Also, we'd love to have some feedback on what you like, what you don't like, and things you'd like to see in the future. So leave us some comments. We'll look at every one of them and see what we can do to deliver on your request. Again, thanks for being with us.